Well, it's that time of year again, and we've got a PCB here in a standard time of year shape. This has got quite a few LEDs on the front, 64 LEDs. And on the back we've got an ARM processor here, just an STF103C8, and an LED driver. So this is designed for 8 7-segment displays, but instead of that I've got 64 LEDs, so same number of LEDs. OLED display for doing various status things. There's a real-time clock, which I'm using the ARM microcontroller clock for this one, and that's displayed here. Unfortunately it resets the date on reset, which is not good for a real-time clock, but I'm only really after timing in days. Reset button, brightness control, all the crystals for running the stuff, a little regulator. 5 volts comes in on this USB, which is also USB to serial, so the ArdTreeArm serial monitor comes out here. I'm running the ArdTreeArm IDE sort of model with the setup and loop. It's pretty easy, and there's a lot of libraries for that. And 4 buttons here for doing various things, and a real-time clock, so you can change the pattern. There you go, there's a different pattern, all the LEDs filling up one after the other. And what we got there, got a flashy star there. I didn't get better than a flashy star. And if we move on to the next one, so this one's filling up groups of LEDs, so there's actually 25 groups of LEDs. So the idea is that this will be like an advent calendar where the LEDs will fill up as you get to Christmas Day, and then the star comes on the 25th day, and that's keyed off the real-time clock here. You can change the date and time, so there's a little menu so you can set yourself to whatever day you want. And what else have we got? So this is the real one, so this is running off the real-time clock. So currently at reset it's day 1 and 2 LEDs are on, but if I use the buttons on the back to, let's set the menu, let's change to day plus, so we'll move to day 2, so that's day 2 now, and there's the second group on. So as I press this button here, all the LEDs slowly fill up. So as the time ticks by, a day at a time, each day will fill up some LEDs until you get to day 25 when the star comes on. Then it stays there for a few days. So I programmed this with an ST-Link. Where is it? ST-Link V2. I don't use the serial port, that's a pain. I find this much better. It's much quicker, much more reliable. I've also got a battery holder here, so I can keep the time and date, but unfortunately the ARM processor loses the date, so not really much use having a battery, because you reset the thing clears the date. I do have a, what is it, an MCP7940 or something socket here, but I think the fact that it runs while power's on there, and it's pretty easy to set the date to whatever day you want, as I just did, I don't think it's really a problem. So probably leave that, maybe change it in a later version of the code. Let's switch to some other patterns if I can manage that. Wrong button. There you go, so that's just flashing one light at a time. The interesting thing about this, you can see there's one LED on at a time there. Just one flashing. And there, it looks like they're all on, but actually there's only one on at a time there as well, I think. I think the scanning only scans and turns one LED on at a time, so if I shake it, you can see that those LEDs are all flashing on and off. So I was a bit concerned with the amount of current needed, but because it's a multiplex display chip, there's not really very much on at a time, so there's very little current. But yeah, that's one of the bigger PCBs I've done. It's got mounting holes as well, which is unusual for me, so I can screw it to whatever I need. And the power's coming down the back. And of course we've got the obligatory extra component here, the piece of wire, which seems to be standard on my boards at the moment. I need one piece of wire I always make one mistake. And a couple of these pieces of wire have been due to KiCad's strange feature, I suppose. It's probably the way I'm using it, where it looks like you've joined a wire to a pin or whatever, but you've just missed, and you've ended up with those two squares next to each other and no connection, which is what happened here, and also happened on another board I did recently. But yeah, that's quite pretty. Let's turn the lights out, see what it's like. A little bit more glowy. So there we go. It's that time of year to make a PCB.